Have you ever wondered what it's like behind the polished walls of one of the most powerful tech companies in the world? Well, Careless People by Sarah Wynn-Williams offers a rare, honest, and at times unsettling glimpse into exactly that world. Published on March 11, 2025 by Flatiron Books, this memoir is available in hardcover, on Kindle, and as an audiobook, which honestly feels fitting for a book about a company so deeply entwined with the digital world. Careless People has already sparked plenty of conversation. On Amazon, the book holds a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars, while Goodreads users rate it an impressive 4.2. With over 500 reviews on Amazon and more than 1,000 ratings and 150 thoughtful comments on Goodreads, it's clear this story resonates. Many readers are calling it eye-opening. One of my favorite reviews says, "This book opened my eyes to the inner workings of one of the world's most influential companies. Sarah's experience at Facebook reveals how power and greed can warp even the most idealistic beginnings." Another reader shared, "Careless People offers a bold, unflinching look at tech culture. It really made me rethink how we define success and the price we pay for it." Of course, not everyone agrees. Some found Sarah's perspective a little one-sided. One reviewer mentioned they wished for a more balanced account, feeling that certain sections dragged on. And someone else pointed out that while the insights were valuable, they didn't necessarily feel new to those already familiar with Facebook's controversies. But then there are the personal stories from readers. One person shared that after reading Careless People, they completely reassessed how they use social media and even started conversations at work about ethics in the tech industry. "I thought that was such a powerful takeaway." Another reader wrote that it prompted them to talk with friends about the true cost of innovation and whether we've been too quick to trade our privacy for convenience. The book itself is described as an unflinching memoir about power, greed, and lost idealism. Sarah Wynn-Williams pulls back the curtain on her years at Facebook from 2011 to 2017. She offers not just a timeline of events, but a personal reckoning with decisions that shaped not only a company, but arguably the modern world. It's a behind-the-scenes narrative about influence, ethics, and what happens when the pursuit of growth overshadows the mission that started it all. And what makes Careless People stand out? It's that balance of personal reflection and insider analysis. Sarah doesn't just point fingers. She questions her own role in the machine. She invites readers to think about how idealism can be compromised in the quest for power. And that's a conversation we all need to have. Did you enjoy hearing about this book or maybe another one from my reviews? Well, I've got a surprise for you. Head over to yoursecret.net, leave your email, YouTube nickname, and write the title of the book you'd like to receive. Or choose one of our inspirational quotes positive wall plaques. Every month, we randomly select the most engaged participants and deliver the prizes right to their doorstep. Don't miss your chance. The link is in the description. What happens when a company starts out with the dream of connecting the world and ends up reshaping it in ways no one imagined? In Careless People, Sarah Wynn-Williams takes us deep inside the early years of Facebook's rise, where ambition and idealism drove its mission, but power and influence slowly clouded its purpose. Through personal stories and reflective insights, Sarah recounts her journey from idealistic international diplomat to Facebook's international policy advisor. She believed this fast-growing company could change the world for the better, but what she found was far more complicated. At its heart, Careless People is a cautionary tale about the human cost of unrestrained ambition. It's a call to examine what happens when idealism gets overtaken by power, profit, and a willingness to look the other way. One of the most personal and powerful moments in the book comes early on, when Sarah shares a deeply vulnerable story from her teenage years, surviving a shark attack. She writes simply, "I saved myself." And that becomes a theme she carries with her, not just in life, but in her time navigating the treacherous waters of tech policy at Facebook. As the book unfolds, we follow Sarah's transition from her idealistic days at the United Nations, where she believed in international cooperation, to joining Facebook in the hope that technology could do what diplomacy had failed to achieve: unite people on a global scale. But reality was very different. One of the most striking stories Sarah shares is from her early days at Facebook, attending state dinners alongside Mark Zuckerberg. She describes how surreal it felt to watch Zuckerberg sitting next to minor dignitaries, ignored by world leaders who didn't quite know what to make of him or the platform he was building. She reflects. It started as a hopeful comedy and ended in darkness and regret. And that sense of disconnect between Facebook's growing influence and its leaders' lack of understanding about their role on the global stage becomes one of the central themes of her story. The book is filled with sharp, memorable lines like, "They were careless people. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness." An epigraph borrowed from F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, which sets the tone perfectly. And there's another line that hits hard. It's like watching a bunch of 14-year-olds who've been given superpowers and an ungodly amount of money. Sarah foresaw the risks. She pitched to Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg, warning them about geopolitical dangers and the need for rules of the road as Facebook expanded into every corner of the world. But as she writes, no one inside Facebook seemed to be thinking about the rules of the road for these globe-spanning internet companies. Her efforts to make leadership aware of their growing responsibilities were often met with indifference and sometimes even hostility. And that's where this part of the story leaves us, with the company racing ahead, ignoring the warnings, and blind to the consequences. As Careless People draws to its conclusion, Sarah Wynn-Williams takes us into the heart of disillusionment, the moment where idealism gives way to raw power and self-preservation. By this point in her memoir, it's clear Facebook's early mission to connect the world has been overtaken by a relentless focus on growth at any cost. Wynn-Williams describes a company courting authoritarian regimes, including China, and turning a blind eye to democratic principles, all in the pursuit of market share and global dominance. One of the book's most jarring moments comes on a private jet with Mark Zuckerberg. Sarah recalls the exact moment when Mark finally grasped the magnitude of Facebook's influence over the 2016 US election. "I was on a private jet with Mark the day he finally understood that Facebook probably did put Donald Trump in the White House. But rather than leading to reform or meaningful change, this realization only deepened the cynicism and self-preservation that had already begun to take root inside the company." Sarah shares the deep personal toll this took on her. After years of defending Facebook, she could no longer deny what the company had become: self-serving, ethically compromised. By the end, she writes, she watched hopelessly as Facebook's leadership sucked up to authoritarian regimes like China's and casually misled the public. Her words cut deep. Mark is deeply skeptical of all this, and he plainly does not enjoy it. That's her take on Zuckerberg's awkwardness in engaging with world leaders, despite his growing influence. Another line stays with you. "We're a tiny team right now." But let me tell you, a New Zealand Facebook diplomat is not one of them. It's a bitter acknowledgement of how isolated and outmatched she often felt in the company's inner circle. And then there's this. "I had no idea what I was getting myself into." A quiet reflection that sums up not just her own story, but perhaps the story of everyone who believed Facebook was a force for good. But Careless People isn't just about disillusionment. It's a warning. Wynn-Williams makes it clear that unchecked corporate power, combined with a lack of accountability, leads to profound consequences for democracy, society, and truth itself. She calls for greater regulation, transparency, and public oversight, arguing that governments must step in to protect democratic values in the face of tech giants who put profit over ethics. For those who found Careless People compelling, here are a few more books you might want to explore. Bad Blood by John Carreyrou, The Rise and Fall of Theranos, Zucked by Roger McNamee, An Insider's Reckoning with Facebook's Darker Side, The Facebook Effect by David Kirkpatrick, A Detailed History of Facebook's Ascent, No Filter by Sarah Fryer, The Inside Story of Instagram and How Facebook Changed It, Surveillance Capitalism by Shoshana Zuboff, an in-depth look at how tech companies profit from our data. Careless People is a raw and honest memoir, a cautionary tale about power, greed, and the price of lost idealism. Sarah Wynn-Williams holds nothing back, offering a sobering critique of Facebook's rise and its fall from grace. If you're interested in the intersection of technology, ethics, and global power, this is a must-read. It's a reminder of how far-reaching the consequences can be when ambition overshadows accountability. And before we wrap up, don't forget about the giveaway. Want to receive this book or another one from my reviews? Here's how. Like this video if you enjoyed the review. Comment below with a book you've read or want me to review next. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future reviews. And most importantly, visit yoursecret.net, leave your email, YouTube nickname, and choose your prize. One of 10 books or one of 30 inspirational quotes, positive wall plaques. Each month, we randomly select the most engaged viewers and send them their chosen prize, right to their doorstep. So, what are you waiting for? Good luck. And while you're hitting that like button, I'm off to read the next book and prepare another review. See you soon.